Prayer is not confined to the boundaries of ritual or tradition, nor is it a mere utterance of memorized words. It is an awakening, a deep movement within, an intimate alignment of your soul with the divine current that flows through all existence. When you learn to pray in this way, it ceases to be a duty and becomes the very breath of your being, the language of your innermost truth. In that silence, beyond the surface noise of the mind, you discover that prayer is not something you perform, it is something you allow. It is the recognition that the Spirit has always been present, patiently waiting for you to attune yourself, to listen, and to step into the harmony that was written into the core of your being from the beginning of time. There is immense power in realizing that you do not need elaborate words or complicated formulas to reach the divine. The purest prayer is often a quiet turning inward, a moment of stillness where the heart whispers what the lips cannot. In that silence, you align with something greater than yourself, and suddenly your fears lose their grip, your anxieties soften, and your restless searching finds a place of rest. This alignment transforms prayer from an external act into an inner state of being, where your thoughts, emotions, and intentions flow in one direction, unified and focused toward the Spirit's guiding presence. When you pray in alignment, you begin to notice that life itself responds differently. What once felt like coincidence reveals itself as purpose. The conversations you have, the challenges you face, the opportunities that arise, they no longer appear random, but connected to a larger design. Prayer does not change the external world in an instant, but it changes the lens through which you see it. It opens your eyes to meaning, where before there was confusion, to beauty where before there was indifference, and to strength where before there was weakness. This kind of prayer calls for honesty, because alignment cannot exist where pretense resides. To align with the Spirit is to come as you are, without masks, without pretending to be stronger or more perfect than you feel. True prayer embraces your vulnerability and lays it in the hands of the one who already knows your deepest needs before you can form them into words. It is in this authenticity that you find liberation. For you realize that prayer is not about presenting a polished version of yourself. It is about offering your raw and unfiltered soul to the presence that understands you completely. In this alignment, life begins to change in subtle but profound ways. The restless striving to prove yourself diminishes, replaced by the calm assurance that you are guided. The fear of the unknown lessens, replaced by the quiet courage to take the next step. The weight of carrying everything on your shoulders lifts, replaced by the awareness that you are upheld by a greater power. Each prayer becomes less about demanding outcomes and more about sensing your will with a rhythm already at work in the universe. You are no longer pushing against the current. You are flowing with it. Prayer as alignment teaches you that the true miracle is not getting everything you ask for, but becoming someone who no longer needs to beg, because you have found trust. It reveals that the Spirit does not simply exist to grant wishes, but to bring you into harmony with a higher purpose that surpasses your limited understanding. Every breath becomes an act of communion, every step a movement in the dance of divine timing, every choice a reflection of inner clarity. When you understand prayer as alignment, you discover it is not something you do occasionally, but a way of living. It is present in your gratitude at dawn, in your resilience at midday, in your surrender at night. It is woven into the small moments as much as the grand ones. And in this continual alignment, you begin to embody peace, strength, and clarity that no external circumstance can shake. For to pray in alignment is to live awake, alive, and fully attuned to the Spirit that has always been with you, guiding you into wholeness. Surrender is often misunderstood as weakness, as though letting go means giving up or admitting defeat. But in truth, surrender is the highest form of strength, for it takes far more courage to release control than to cling desperately to it. To surrender in prayer is not to abandon your will, but to entrust it to a wisdom beyond your own. To trust that the path unfolding before you is guided by a hand that sees farther than your vision and holds more power than your grasp. It is in surrender that you move from fear to faith, from struggle to peace, from chaos to harmony. There is a relentless desire within the human heart to control, to shape, and to force outcomes according to its own design. Yet the more we strive to manipulate life, the more we find ourselves entangled in frustration, because reality resists being bent to our narrow expectations. Surrender teaches us to release that need to control and instead lean into the flow of divine guidance. This does not mean you become passive or indifferent. It means you act with strength, while trusting the outcome to something greater. True power lies not in forcing the river to follow your course, but in learning to flow with its current, knowing it is carrying you where you are meant to go. In prayerful surrender, you admit that you do not hold all the answers, that your perspective is limited, and that there is a greater wisdom at work in your life. This admission is not defeat, it is liberation. It frees you from the crushing weight of trying to solve everything on your own. It allows you to breathe, to rest, and to trust that even in uncertainty you are held. There is nothing weak about surrender. It requires bravery to let go of the illusion of control and step into the unknown with trust. The weak grasp desperately, the strong release gracefully. Surrender also transforms the way you experience struggle. Instead of resisting every challenge, you begin to see trials as opportunities for growth, as lessons carved into the fabric of your journey. The pain that once felt meaningless becomes purposeful. The setbacks that once seemed like barriers reveal themselves as redirections. In surrender, you are no longer a victim of life's unpredictability, but a participant in its unfolding design. You rise above fear because you know that even what seems broken is being woven into something greater. When you surrender, your heart becomes lighter. The endless pressure to plan every detail, to secure every outcome, to fight every battle alone, begins to fade. In its place grows a deep inner calm, a steady assurance that you are guided. Decisions become clearer, not because you suddenly know the future, but because you trust the one who does. Anxiety loosens its grip, not because the challenges disappear, but because you no longer feel the need to carry them by yourself. Each prayer of surrender is an act of profound courage, a declaration that you choose trust over fear, faith over doubt, and peace over control. This surrender is not a one-time event, but a continual posture of the heart. Every day brings new moments where you can choose to let go or to cling, to trust or to resist. And each time you surrender, you grow stronger, because you align more deeply with the rhythm of divine presence. Strength is no longer measured by how tightly you hold on, but by how gracefully you let go. True freedom is born here, where your spirit is no longer bound by the need to control everything, but is open to receive everything. In this place of surrender, prayer becomes a living force. It is no longer about bending life to your will, but about aligning your will with life itself. You begin to walk with peace through storms, with courage through uncertainty, and with joy through trials. Surrender does not strip you of power. It awakens you to a power far greater than your own. And in that awakening, you discover that surrender is not weakness at all. It is the purest form of strength, the kind that can never be shaken by circumstance, because it is anchored in trust. Obstacles are not the end of your path. They are the very terrain on which your strength is built and your soul refined. What may appear as resistance is often the shaping hand of destiny, guiding you into greater depths of wisdom and resilience. Every challenge that rises before you carries within it the seed of transformation, though, in the moment it may feel like nothing but hardship. It is in facing obstacles that you come to see the power that lies within, a power that would have remained dormant had life been without difficulty. Without resistance, there is no growth. Without pressure, there is no diamond. Prayer during times of struggle is not about pleading for the obstacle to vanish, but about opening your eyes to the lesson it contains. Life's trials are not punishments, they are invitations to rise, to expand, to awaken to a strength that you may have forgotten. When you pray with this awareness, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin to ask, "What is this teaching me?" That simple shift turns pain into a teacher, setbacks into stepping stones, and what once seemed like an ending into the beginning of something greater. Every obstacle reshapes you. It chisels away arrogance, deepens compassion, strengthens resolve, and teaches patience. It forces you to shed illusions and to discover truths about yourself and the world around you. Some of the most profound wisdom in your life will not come from moments of ease, but from those seasons where you were pressed, broken, and tested. When you look back, you realize that the struggle did not destroy you, it revealed you. It uncovered a deeper resilience, a fiercer faith, and a clearer purpose than you had before. There is a temptation to see challenges as unfair interruptions in life's journey, but they are not detours, they are part of the road. Each obstacle is woven into the design of your destiny, pushing you to grow into the person you are meant to become. What feels like opposition is often preparation. The storm that shakes you is also the storm that strengthens your roots. The fire that burns you is also the fire that purifies. In this way, obstacles are not walls but doorways, requiring only the courage to walk through them with faith. When you pray in the midst of hardship, you find a strength that does not come from yourself but from the Spirit moving through you. Suddenly, what seemed impossible becomes endurable, and what seemed unbearable becomes the very thing that transforms you. You realize that even in difficulty, you are not abandoned but accompanied, not weakened but being forged into greater wholeness. Prayer keeps your heart steady when everything else shakes, reminding you that the obstacle is not the end, but part of the journey toward your higher calling. The beauty of obstacles is that they strip away false priorities. They force you to confront what truly matters. They awaken you to the fleeting nature of fear and the enduring nature of hope. In moments when you thought you were falling apart, you often discover that you were being rebuilt into someone stronger, braver, and more grounded in truth. You begin to see obstacles not as enemies but as allies, as sacred tools used to shape the deepest parts of your character. When you embrace this perspective, you no longer fear obstacles. You welcome them as opportunities to grow and as signs that you are moving forward. Life without challenge may feel safe, but it will never awaken the fullness of your spirit. It is the mountain that calls you higher, the storm that awakens your courage, and the trial that reveals your faith. To pray through obstacles is to step into transformation, to allow every hardship to mold you, and to emerge not diminished but expanded. Walking in step with the Spirit is not a single decision made once and forgotten. It is a continual unfolding, a rhythm that you choose to embrace every moment of every day. It is not about great leaps but about steady, faithful steps that align your heart, mind, and actions with a higher purpose. Each breath you take can become a prayer, each thought an offering, each action a reflection of the divine rhythm flowing through you. This is not a practice confined to sacred spaces or certain times. It is a way of being, a life lived in constant awareness of guidance and presence. There is a deep beauty in realizing that every ordinary moment holds the potential for sacredness when you walk in step with the Spirit. The way you speak to others, the way you face challenges, the way you handle your daily responsibilities, all of it can become an expression of alignment. The smallest choices matter because they either draw you closer to or pull you away from the flow of divine purpose. When you choose kindness over bitterness, patience over frustration, love over indifference, you are keeping step with something eternal, even in the simplest acts. To walk in this way requires attentiveness. It is easy to be distracted, to drift into the noise of the world, to let fear or pride set the pace of your steps. But the Spirit calls for awareness, for listening beneath the surface, for tuning your heart to an unseen rhythm that guides with wisdom and peace. This awareness does not demand perfection, it invites presence. Even when you stumble or lose your way, the invitation remains, calling you back into harmony, reminding you that every step is another chance to realign. The continual nature of this walk also means that it shapes your character slowly but powerfully. Just as water smooths the rough edges of stone, walking in step with the Spirit refines you over time. You may not notice the change in a single day, but over seasons, you will see how your patience deepens, your love expands, your courage strengthens, and your faith becomes unshakable. This transformation is not forced, it is the natural result of living in continual alignment, of letting every moment be infused with the presence of something greater than yourself. When you live this way, life itself takes on a new dimension. The ordinary becomes extraordinary because you begin to see the sacred woven into everything. The laughter of a child, the stillness of morning, the trials that test your patience, all become opportunities to walk in step with the Spirit. You no longer separate your spiritual life from your daily life. They merge into one seamless journey where every breath, every step, every choice carries eternal significance. This continual walking also grants you strength when storms arise. Because you have built a rhythm of trust and alignment, you are not easily shaken. You have learned to hear the guiding whisper even in chaos, to feel the steady hand leading you when the path grows dark. Walking in step with the Spirit does not spare you from life's difficulties, but it equips you to face them with courage, to endure them with grace, and to emerge from them transformed. As you walk this path day by day, you begin to embody peace, love, and clarity in such a way that others notice. Your life becomes a testimony without words, a light that shines in quiet strength, inspiring those around you. This is the power of continual alignment. It not only transforms you but radiates outward, touching every life you encounter. In this way, walking in step with the Spirit is not only for your own growth, but for the healing and uplifting of the world around you. And so, the journey continues, not in leaps of grandeur, but in faithful steps, moment by moment, choice by choice. Each day is another chance to walk in harmony, to breathe in presence, to act in love, and to live awake to the divine rhythm that has always been with you. In this continual unfolding, you discover that the walk itself is the destination, and every step in alignment is a step into wholeness. In the end, the journey of prayer and alignment is not about chasing after distant miracles, but about awakening to the miracle of every breath, every step, every moment lived in harmony with the Spirit. It is about learning that true power lies not in control but in surrender, that obstacles are not barriers but bridges to transformation, and that walking in step with the divine is not an event, but a lifelong rhythm. When you choose to live this way, your life ceases to be a struggle for meaning and becomes an unfolding revelation of purpose. Peace replaces anxiety. Trust overcomes fear, and love flows where once there was only emptiness. This is the gift of walking in step with the Spirit. Not a life free of storms, but a life anchored in something unshakable, something eternal, something that turns even the smallest act into a sacred offering. And as you keep walking, step by step, you will discover that you were never alone, for the presence that guides you has always been within, leading you into wholeness, strength, and light.